Let's bring Christopher in. Good morning, my man. How are you? I'm doing good. Christopher was a Navy SEAL for how long, Christopher?
About 10 years.
10 years. And I want to talk to you about that in just a moment. But you were in the news last week because of, you were shot, basically, to put it in simple terms.
Indeed.
What happened?
I'm pulling up to the shopping center, and I'm getting out of my car and walk behind my car, progressing towards the store. And now, mind you, I just got a new truck, so I'm parking as far away as I can.
Sure, right. You don't want to get any dings or dents in it. You're looking back, looking at the thing as you walk. Exactly. Like, that's a sweet-ass truck.
That's mine.
I always do that. You ever do that when you get a new car? You open the door to the garage, you look at it, you go, that's pretty sweet. Yeah.
So I'm, 2-3 spots away from my car, and this other car just literally almost backs up over me. Like if I was on a cell phone, if I was doing anything other than paying attention to my surroundings, I'd have been underneath that car.
Yeah.
So the guy continues to back up, despite the fact that I just vaulted myself off the rear corner of his car. And
so he actually did hit you.
Well, right. He didn't strike me. I prevented it. I did like a
gymnastic move.
Yeah, pommel horse technique, Rover. Yeah. Very good. Very good. So I was on the moving pommel horse, and I found myself next to his window, at which time we exchanged pleasantries. It was like expletive, dude, what's up?
Right.
Expletive, you need to watch what the expletive you're doing. And his retort to me was pretty similar, with a couple of, references to my skin color, of course. So
F you, whitey, you honky,
exactly.
bitch. Gotcha.
Exactly. That's kind of how the whole conversation went. So, I'm pretty non-confrontational by nature, because I think the more deadly you are, the more relaxed you are in any kind of a situation. Mm-hmm. So I basically, non-politely excused myself from the conversation and kept going towards the store. Then I realized I didn't have my wallet, so I go back to the car. But meanwhile, he kind of kept backing up in that arc and posted up about 10 feet, 15 feet on the other side of my car, still, perpendicular to my car, still facing the store. So I didn't think anything of it. I'm like, maybe these guys are planning, where they're going to go from here. They were backing out.
Now, wait a second. He goes, I didn't think anything of it. Now, if I was just in a verbal altercation with someone, and I realized that I don't have my wallet with me, how many guys are in this car, by the way?
At least 2. I thought I heard another voice from the back seat.
2 or 3 guys. Me, what I do is I just continue on into the place where I'm going, the restaurant or whatever. I know.
Without your wallet?
Yeah, because you know that the carload of dudes is right there. They're about ready to beat my ass or whatever. I mean,
so you just fake like you have your wallet and going in.
Yeah, I mean, how could you not think anything of it? You just got into a huge altercation with these guys.
It wasn't huge. As a matter of fact, I wasn't even shouting it, and I would venture to believe that my idea of an emergency and yours are completely different.
I'm sure. Yes, absolutely.
So, like I said, I'm capable of handling myself. A matter of fact, if 3 guys come up to me in a bar, that first guy is inconsequential to me. I'm already looking through that dude to the other guys behind him. I've identified the exits. I'm gonna strike fast, strike hard, leave some bodies on the floor, and get the hell out of there.
Yeah,
that's pretty much how I was trained. So I'm walking back to my car. I get my wallet, and I continue back to the store. And he re-engages me, pulls up next to me, around the same spot where we had the initial conversation, pretty damn close. So I'm still far from the store.
Mm-hmm.
So he says, hey, you need to learn some respect, whitey, blah, blah, blah. You got a big-ass mouth, all this stuff. And I said, well, where I come from, respect is earned. It's not issued. And I'd be happy to, give you a chance to earn that right now if you're, so inclined or something like that. He looks to his buddy, looks back at me, and then I felt this massive impact to, like, my left lower abdomen, like mule kick. Took my breath away, doubled me over.
You feel it before you even hear the gunshot.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, you figure, right? It's faster than the speed of sound, right?
Yeah.
So it's hitting you before you. Like I said, if I had been, so I'm still upright and I'm pissed off. And about 2 seconds later or less, I gather myself and I see them turn in the corner in front of the store, exiting the parking lot.
So they peel out. They shoot you. They fire a single shot.
To my knowledge, I didn't hear anything. I didn't hear a shot to begin with. I didn't even see a gun.
Okay.
The window never came down more than 6 inches from the top. So I saw more of the passenger than I actually did of the driver.
Mm-hmm.
So, my first thought is I gotta go after these guys. I'm pissed off. I'm still upright, and this is what I'm taught to do. Pursue. This is what I'm going to do. So, I'm behind these guys, and they've got a fast car. I've got a big lumbering truck. So, I was never able to get closer than probably 75 yards, 50 yards max to them.
Mm-hmm.
They were just hauling ass. So, it was at that time that I had to take a couple of assessments because I knew my health was going downhill pretty fast. I had a finger in a hole in my stomach. I was sweating.
So you take your finger and you pop it right in there. They train you to do that if you're shot, or
well, definitely.
Or does that just come naturally?
Everyone knows that really you put pressure on a wound and you put a finger in a hole, right? An emergency is defined as more holes than you have fingers.
Yeah.
So I certainly had more fingers left.
You
I could have had more
stick it right
holes.
in there. No kidding.
Yeah, I lifted up my shirt. I saw a hole and I had two shirts on. I lifted up the first shirt. I saw the hole. The second shirt had a couple holes in it because I think it was folded over.
Yeah.
And I had a hole in the top of my jeans. So obviously the shot was pretty low.
Lucky he didn't get you right in the nutsack or something.
Exactly. Well, it's funny. My nutsack, it felt like it weighed like 100 pounds. That's when I knew I had a lot of bleeding inside the abdomen because it puts a lot of pressure on your abdominal cavity and pushes down through those canals into the testes.
I'm guessing
it was hurting, man.
If you got shot in the nuts, you would have been okay because you have balls of steel, right?
Bounced off.
yeah, right.
Well, the Lord gave me two, so hopefully I'd be left with one, right? I'm kind of partial to my nuts. So
now, when you stick your finger in this wound, in this bullet hole in your abdomen, does it hurt, or are you in shock? You don't feel it yet, or what?
You definitely feel it. It's not a pleasant. It's not a pleasant thing.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, when I get to the emergency room, some jackass stuck his finger back in that hole. I'm like,
oh, that's no good,
dude. What are you doing?
Yeah.
So, so I'm pursuing these guys, and I'm making these microsecond decisions. I'm thinking, okay, what's your end game here, Chris? What are you planning on doing? Are you going to catch up to these guys? And if you do, you're going to do a pit maneuver, spin them out. Hopefully, you can get out of the car. And because I had a weapon on me, it was in the car.
Yeah.
I have a weapon on me most of the time. So I'm thinking, okay, now you're going to shoot 1, 2, or 3 black dudes, and it's going to be like a Trayvon Martin incident times 3 here. You're not proof positive they shot you. You are bleeding, but you never saw a gun. You didn't hear a gun. And under CCW statutes in Ohio, if I pursue them, now I'm in violation because CCW statutes basically stand your ground, kind of like castle defense type thing. So I gave pursuit. Then I also thought, well, I could be dead on the side of the road here within a minute or two. I'm losing a lot of blood inside my stomach. So they went right. I took a left and drove myself to the fire department / police department. Walk up to the outside phone. Dispatch, how can I help you? I'm like, hey, I think I've been shot. I've been in an altercation down the road at a shopping center, and I need some dudes to come look at me. So that was it.
Wow. This is incredible. All that went through your head as you're chasing these guys. Me, I would have just been really pissed off, and I would have wanted to kill those guys.
Well, I was pissed, and I did want to kill these guys, but all the training you go through and all the real world experiences you have, it teaches you to channel down and harness that. Rage unharnessed is just.
I've witnessed that. Yes,
right,
I know.
It's bad. It's a bad thing.
So Christopher Heben is with us. He is a former Navy SEAL who was shot. Plugs a bullet hole right with his finger, chases
insane.
the guys, can't catch them because of this pickup truck that he's in. Is not as fast as the car as those guys. So they get away. Now, they have not arrested any of these guys. Is that correct?
That's correct. I believe they have some leads that they've been tracking down, and I'm not at liberty to say because obviously it's an ongoing case.
Sure, you don't want to tip any of these dudes off or whatever. But are you confident that they will catch these guys, do you think?
I'm not too confident. Matter of fact, I came to that conclusion that day. I'm thinking, this car is probably taken apart. At the very least, it's repainted, and it could be anywhere. Interestingly enough, on Monday, so 3 days later, there was an armed robbery at Great Northern Mall, and a woman was armed at gunpoint in a gray vehicle by 2 guys.
So that you could be related, perhaps.
It could be at least they, a copycat type thing.
Yeah.
At least she didn't get shot. Thank God.
Now, I heard somewhere, and I don't know if this was on Fox News or where this was, but someone was saying that you said that this may have been an Al-Qaeda attack, and I go, that doesn't sound right to me. That doesn't sound plausible.
No, I think how people contort everything you say. I said, the thought had crossed my mind that maybe this just wasn't random.
Yeah.
Because I look back and I look at the guy, the driver, and to me, in hindsight, he kind of appeared, he was very dark skin, almost like Somali-looking features, The thought crossed my mind. I've been to that part of Africa many times, and that's like the first thing that came to mind when I looked at this dude. So it's obviously something that I think about, but it's not my party line. I'm not writing that and dwelling on it. So
you were a Navy SEAL for almost 10 years, you said.
That's correct.
What did do you have like a specialization in the Navy SEALs, or did you specialize in one particular thing for your team?
I've got a couple of skill sets, sniper, explosive expert. We call it a breacher. So you do manual entry, explosive entry, so you can get through a door, window, wall with tools or explosives. I'm also a combat medic, so it's a special operations combat medic.
So you even, I mean, this was, I mean, it's different performing that on yourself, but you had a lot of training in what to do with a bullet wound or something like that,
it was,
for instance.
No stranger to it, whether it was me or somebody else. A funny story: we're in my room in the hospital on Sunday, and the doctor comes in, and my parents are there, and I'm standing up. He's looking at my stomach, and he's like, "Everything looks great, and you're healing very nicely." And he goes, "You have a lot of other metal in your body." He goes, "You have some here." He's pointing to my hip, and some here, and this side leg, and that leg, and this other leg. I'm like, "Yeah, I know." And my mom looks at my dad, and she's like, "What?" She looks at me. She's like, "What is he talking about?" I'm like, "Mom, this isn't my first time getting hit or fragged. Overseas, when you're with your dudes, you have this level of notification where you tell your buddies in your command, hey, if I'm fragged and I'm hit and these are holes that can be sewed up, I'm going to sit at a hospital in the field for 2 or 3 days, and I'm going to get back with my crew. Please don't call anyone in my family." On the flip side, though, if I'm laying tits up and they got the shock paddles out hitting me with 300 joules and ACLS drugs, please call my parents. So my mom was a little bit surprised about that.
Chris Heben is here with us. 1-866-YO-ROVER. That's 1-866-967-6837. So what year did you become a Navy SEAL?
I joined the Navy in 96, and I graduated from SEAL training in 1998.
So this is before September 11th.
Yes, sir.
What kind of missions, or how many missions were you guys going on? Obviously, 9/11 happened. Everything changes.
Mm-hmm.
But prior to that, how many missions and what kind of things were you guys performing at that time?
You'd be surprised. We have our hands in a lot of different things, from counter narcotics operations overseas to south of the border, South America, in the Caribbean. We work a lot with the DEA. We don't do it on American soil because of the whole Posse Comitatus Act.
Yeah,
those are things called conflicts other than war, and we did a lot of that, policing and chasing and hunting after war criminals in Bosnia.
Did you guys
Chechnya.
feel like that's a good use of your skill set, that you guys are going after drug runners and drug guys and this kind of stuff, as opposed to? I mean, obviously we didn't have the level of terrorism awareness that we have now, but I mean, how did you guys feel about that stuff?
We loved it. It's fun.
So it gave you something to do, I guess. But
fun, yeah.
See, I don't know. It just seems like, hey, let these guys. If you want to kill yourself with cocaine,
bro,
go ahead.
I completely agree, bro. It's like, that's my concept. They should effing legalize everything.
Yeah. You're
going to have your casual users that are going to be, on a bender for a few days. They're going to be okay. You're going to have your guys who do it more than that end up ODing and, sooner than or later, or you know what I mean. There's going to be guys that are hardcore drug users that are just they're going to be gone right away.
Yeah,
because it's going to be like grabbing Tic Tacs or popping a breath mint. You leave in a restaurant.
That's why I was wondering how you guys felt about this, because you could potentially have been killed in one of these operations trying to stop cocaine or something.
Yeah, you kind of, when you first get into that field of work, you're all full of piss and vinegar, ready to go. So you're pretty much rogering up for everything.
Yeah.
And then, after a while, you kind of formulate your own opinions. You get a little bit jaded here and there, and you're like, I don't know why we're doing this or that or the other thing. So the get-go, you're down for everything. And they'll basically send you everywhere. We got guys that are to protect the president and, certain rings of security and presidential details. So all kinds of different stuff.
When September 11th it came, how did things change? Overnight, they changed drastically?
Virtually overnight. As a SEAL, you're gone. You're away from your house about 200 days out of a year on average. Your cycle is you train for war, you go to war, you recover from war. That's all you do. So after 9/11, that number went from 200 to close to 300 days out of a year. Gone. So they literally make you are a well-oiled, finely tuned killing machine, but very cerebral, very thinking killing machine. I'll give you an example. Say you go into a bottom floor of a building in Iraq, and there's 4 rooms. You go into the first room, you go left, your buddy goes right, each of you shoot a dude in the corner of the room. You progress to the second room. I go right, he goes left, I shoot a dude in the middle of the room. I go into a third room, there's a 2-year-old on the floor screaming. I pick it up, hand the child to his mother, and progress to the 4th room where I shoot 2 dudes in the face. So you are very disciplined, very controlled. You can flip a switch. You go from killer to caregiver to killer.
That's. I mean, this is really amazing. And did the level of the number of missions just drastically increase right after September 11th?
Yeah, we had what's called a backlog, where we had missions in the queue. 10, 12 missions that were waiting to be done. There was before 9/11. There was this healthy, vigorous competition between SEALs and Delta Force, and Green Berets, because we were basically fighting for the same job. We were jockeying to nurse on the same tit.
Yeah.
So after 9/11, it was like everyone had a lot of work. So we gained a lot of respect for each other. We also had some reasons to poke fun at each other when shit went wrong in an operation.
Right. When stuff went wrong.
When stuff went wrong in an operation. So 9/11 changed a lot of things. Your operational tempo increased drastically. There was more of a friendlier esprit de corps across services.
But it probably focused you, because here you guys, like you're saying, you're doing these conflicts other than war, but now you actually have your eye on the prize, so to speak, after 9/11.
Yes, sir. Dedicated missions. Everyone's got enough work. There's plenty of work to go around.
How many? You were on SEAL Team 8?
Yes.
How many Navy SEALs are active right now?
There's all told close to 2,400 guys. About 1,200 of those are what we call operators or door kickers. These are the guys that are doing the do, out there, boots on the ground, kicking ass. Those other personnel are administrative individuals that are close to the twilight of their career. They're getting ready to get out.
Mm-hmm.
They're trainers, or they're paper shufflers because they've had their fun. But
they've done it. Yeah.
A guy can pick up a weapon at any time, though. If I'm a commander or a captain, I'm this 05, 04, and I'm like, you know what? I need to get in and do something. Just grab a gun, gear up, let's go.
What's the difference? Is there a difference between the different SEAL teams? You're on SEAL Team 8. Of course, SEAL Team 6 became famous over the Osama bin Laden raid.
Right.
Is there a difference between these SEAL teams?
With the other SEAL teams are very similar in the things that we do, the capabilities that we have. They're very similar. The only difference is SEAL Team 6, which is called Development Group or Naval Special Warfare Development Group. We can say Dev Group for short. SEAL Team 6 only does anti-terrorist stuff. That is it. If you're taken hostage somewhere in the world, they will be coming to get you. Them or Delta Force. It just depends on who's in the area at that time. SEALs don't always get the work. Delta gets the job sometimes. Sometimes it's luck of the draw or proximity to the situation. Mm-hmm. If it involves water, though, like the Maersk, Alabama, it will go to the SEALs automatically.
Are there a lot of operations that are running that we have no idea about, like super classified kind of stuff? I mean, is it extremely common all the time something's going on?
Absolutely. When something happens in the world, the president wants to know three things right away. Where's the nearest aircraft carrier? So how soon can I drop bombs or threaten to drop bombs on these guys? Second thing is, where's the nearest SEAL or Delta squadron? And then the third thing is, how soon can I get CIA clandestine assets working with all those assets? Mm-hmm. That's what he wants to know. Those are your first three concerns. Something happens bad in the world.
What did you do after you left the Navy SEALs? What did you do?
I started doing private military contracting for Blackwater.
Now, they became sort of controversial in Iraq because of
that incident in the Source Square.
They're killing people, and there's the lack of accountability, or at least that's the allegation at the time. Well, how do you feel about? You made a lot more money doing that than you did as a Navy SEAL, right?
You make more money, but you're also paying for your own health insurance, and if you're not working, you're not getting paid. Like, you'll work for 60 days or 90 days, then you'll come home for 30 days or 45 days, and you don't get paid for that 30 or 45 days. Mm-hmm. So, I was making $1,200 a day. That was a nice paycheck, but when I came home, I knew for 30 or 40 or 60 days I wasn't making anything.
How do you feel about the United States sort of contracting that out to groups like Blackwater or something like having basically private military?
I think it's great. The Roman Empire had the Praetorian Guard. These guys were all hired, contracted soldiers. The French have been doing it for a long time with the Foreign Legion. People say, well, geez, were you a mercenary? Is that a mercenary? And I say, absolutely not. A mercenary, by definition, is someone who works for any country, for any cause, for the money. I've never worked for any other government other than my own. So I think there's a little bit of a contorted side definition of the mercenary in this.
But
you are a soldier of fortune, though.
Is there a lack of accountability or consequence and oversight for these private military operations?
When they got really big very fast, Blackwater aggressively sought a lot of contracts, and they won them. And I think what happened was you saw a watering down in the quality of the talent pool. Whereas before, it was predominantly SEALs, some Green Berets, and Delta Force guys. Their contracts got so big that they were looking to SWAT cops and Rangers to fill those positions.
I knew it was bad when Blackwater contacted me, and they said, Rover, we have a position for you over in Iraq. Can you take this? I go, wow, these guys are really scraping the bottom of the barrel.
So that's what happened. You had a watering down in the talent pool because there were so many spots that needed to be filled. And then you had guys that were cowboys. They just were trigger-happy fools, and where as a SEAL or a Delta guy, you're very controlled, you're very disciplined. I can count on one hand how many times I've ever fired my weapon in the field on full auto. Very selectively taking down targets, boom, 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 not unless everything's hitting the fan, then you got to flip to auto. But my gosh,
most of these SEALs, like for instance, you can talk to totally different, but you can talk to a police officer, and many of them haven't fired their weapon in the line of duty or been shot at or something. An average Navy SEAL, you said there's 2,400, about 1,200 operators at any given time. Out of those 1,200, have they all fired their weapon in the line of duty? Have they been shot at? Have they killed people?
At this point in time, after 12 years of warfare, that percentage is very high. I would venture to say at least 75% of those guys, at least.
Has it kept you? Look, the people you've killed people. I'm assuming.
No comment.
Does it? You hope that these guys are bad guys, of course.
They were all bad.
But
they were all bad.
Does it ever keep you up at night, though?
No.
It doesn't. It doesn't.
No. You know what I had a dream about last night? It was actually kind of one of those early morning dreams, like 2, 3 in the morning. I had a dream that Jeffrey Dahmer ran into my car, and we got out and we had words, and he had like 3 or 4 guns on him. I'm like, Jeff, you got a lot of guns on you, dude. What's up? That's what.
That's the
that
kind
was my
of stuff
dream
you
last
dream
night.
about. You talked about these EMPs taking down our power grid. I don't know where you talked about this. I saw this.
Judge Janine Pirro show probably on Fox.
On Fox. Look, Fox. You go on Fox quite a bit. I think Fox is full of crap, but a lot of times. But on this, I don't think this gets enough attention.
Yeah.
How vulnerable our electrical grid is something no one really talks about. But if someone, I think China would have the capability to do it. If you had a state operator like that, they would be able to take down our power grid. But terrorists, it doesn't seem like it's difficult to do it.
It's not difficult at all. Rover Dieter, I could spend 2 hours with you guys today, and tomorrow we can go down. We could probably take out half of the Eastern Seaboard power grid.
You're kidding me.
Just us 3.
You're kidding me.
No, with stuff we can get at Radio Shack.
Now, why haven't we changed that?
We have money, and it's also you make a security assessment and you deliver it to the executives of these privately owned energy grid, conglomerates, and it falls on deaf ears because it is a money issue, or they just don't understand. The nuclear power grid is very well protected, in drastic contrast to the electrical power grid.
Mm-hmm.
It's completely the opposite. So. And there's a fuel issue, too. People don't realize when that backup generator goes on, whether it's at a hospital or, the U.S. Mint, that's powered by diesel fuel. And diesel fuel has to be reconditioned routinely. The minute you take delivery of diesel fuel, it's already going bad. So
if a terrorist organization wanted to, they could inflict serious damage.
Massive damage.
How long... If you took us and you go, hey, look, we're going to take out as many, as much of the power grid as possible. What could we do? You said we could take out the Eastern Seaboard.
Mm-hmm.
We could do that quickly. We could do that tomorrow. Yeah. How long could we keep it down? What's the most amount of damage we could inflict?
Well, we could keep that stuff down with our initial strike for probably a month. Probably a month.
Which is amazing because every time the power goes out of my place, I'm such an idiot. I still go and try and flick on that light switch. We're completely lost without power.
Everyone should have a generator at the house, a backup generator.
And this is not just wacko conspiracy theory, Alex Jones kind of stuff. This is if you were to put your finger on what you think, do you think that will be the next terrorist attack? Do you think that these guys will do something? Or they love, like Al-Qaeda, they love the big, flashy, showy sorts of things. 9/11, for
terrorism
instance.
without an audience is not terrorism.
Yeah,
at all.
is this showy enough to take out the power grid?
I think it'll hit home. Definitely, it'll affect all of us for sure. And what happens if you take out enough substations? You cause what are called catastrophic cascading failures. So you only need to take out a certain number in certain areas where they take down all the others. Because once power is drawn from one station to power another one, you have these, like I said, these catastrophic
Happened
failures.
here 10 years ago in the area, and it was from a tree branch that fell onto a power line somewhere, took out the entire eastern United States for
horrible.
a week.
Yep, I remember.
Yep. And why, in this area of the country, why do we have power lines above ground? And every time we bomb a country into into oblivion, we rebuild it in the modern fashion. Underground everything. So, we have wires above ground today. So.
Well, look, Christopher Heben, what a fascinating story this is. I'd love to talk to you all morning long. He has an album out called The Patriot Project. Very Fox Newsy. What is this? You have a band or something, or what is? Or this is just a compilation?
Yeah, I've got a group of dudes. We play some music. Those are kind of patriotic songs we've assembled on that. The title track is called Patriot. You can download it on iTunes. Just search Chris Heben Patriot. There's an acoustic version, there's the full Monty version, and there's also a ringtone. That is currently en route, if it isn't already, sitting on the desk of Clint Eastwood for the movie American Sniper. They're looking at putting it on the soundtrack.
Nice.
Do you have time to stick around for a minute? I mean,
I sure do.
I have a bunch of people on the phone. I just looked over at the phones, and
Let's
a lot
take
of
some
people
phone
want to
calls.
talk to you. He told me this is the first time you've worn jeans since this has happened, because of the wound is right there in your abdomen.
Yes, sir.
You showed this to me. It's a big. They go in, they cut you open, and take the bullet fragments out. Is that what they did?
Yeah, and they have to fix every hole that's in your intestines. So according to the doc, I had a few holes in my small intestine. So they have to take your intestines out, put them on your chest, and basically run their fingers all across them to look for holes.
Oh,
jeez.
Because obviously you got a lot of bacteria, kind of like
They'll kill you. Yeah.
Jeffrey's got in his mouth right now. I had that stuff. That's what normally is in people's bellies, but obviously it found its way up into his mouth.
Chris told me during the break he'd rather get shot than look at Jeffrey's mouth. I mean, that's how bad Jeffrey's mouth is. Seriously.
Am I using a microphone that he's talking on? Because I'm a bit concerned.
That is Jeffrey's microphone.
Great.
A lot of people are on the phone, want to talk to you. 1-866-YO-ROVER. I only have a few more minutes with them. 1-866-967-6837. Sochi Sam, you're on Rover's Morning Glory with Chris Heben, former Navy SEAL. Good morning, Sam.
Hey, Rover.
Hey.
Hey, Chris. It sounds like we've chewed the same sand and we've seen enough pink mist to last a lifetime. My question to you is, how do you feel about the military allowing women to become a grunt?
Well, women have assumed combat roles for a while, just via happenstance. Should we put them out there specifically and directly? I don't think so. If you have 10,000 women, there's probably 10 women that could probably do that job. But we're not at war with Canada. We're not officially at war with Mexico, where we need every man, woman, and child to gun up.
Yeah.
So I don't see the need for it right now. I mean, I'm not saying there's women that are incapable.
If a woman wanted to join the Navy SEALs, would you support that? If she were physically capable, I mean, it's almost probably impossible for her to be physically capable. I think that's a difference. That's a problem I have with police forces and fire departments. I don't have a problem with women serving in those capacities. It's probably good for diversity and whatnot. And women also, especially in police work. Guys sometimes tend to go in and they, the cops are macho, the people they're confronting are macho, things can escalate and it can turn ugly very quickly. A woman, on the other hand, just by their nature, sometimes they're able to diffuse situations. It can be very beneficial. But I don't think that you should lower the standards and say, hey, this woman only has to lift 40 pounds. All the rest of the firefighters have to lift 140 pounds.
Absolutely not. I totally agree with you. If she only had to lift 40 pounds, she wouldn't even be able to carry half of the gear she needs to on an operation as a SEAL.
Yeah.
So, if they were held to the exact same standard, Perhaps. But, you do bring up a good point. Every time you inject estrogen into a situation, it does have the capacity to diffuse something that's about to become volatile. But let's face it, as a SEAL, when you're going through a doorway or, time on target is critical, and it is a testosterone-driven event. I mean, you are kicking ass and taking people down and stopping people from having birthdays. I mean, that's what it is. And I know how it is. If the three of us were assaulting a target and, Rover, you got shot in the face, I wouldn't even look twice at you. I would keep going. But in my mind, I know if that was like Kathy and she got shot in the face, I'd be more inclined to stop and help her out when I shouldn't be doing that. We all know that if each of us gets shot, it's our own job to treat ourselves. That's why we all carry medical kits. But I think it's human nature, and it's the man in us to want to help that woman when she's stricken or when she's down. So I think it would kind of screw up the psychodynamics, those small unit dynamics of all dudes out there on the very edges of risk, kicking ass.
Speaking of those dynamics, Chris Heben is here with us, former Navy SEAL. What about gays in the military? That's always a hot button issue.
Don't mind it.
You don't mind it at all?
No, I went through SEAL training, or what's called BUDS, with a good buddy. His name is Brett Jones. And Brett Jones came out of the closet a couple years ago. He's gay. He's got a partner, and they share a child. And him and I were roommates for almost entire SEAL training. I mean, I never worried about, my anal sanctity or anything.
Did
Brett
you
is a
know
good
at the
dude.
time that he was gay, or did you suspect?
I suspected, and it didn't matter to me.
Yeah.
He's a good dude. He's a patriot. As long as you know which direction to point your gun, and you're good to go.
But guys like Dieter always, there could be a distraction.
In the showers, the guy's behind you. You don't know what he might do.
It doesn't bother you, Chris.
No.
Let me go to Samuel. You're on Rover's Morning Glory with Chris Heben. Good morning, Samuel.
Good morning.
Hey, what's
Good
up?
morning, Sam.
My question is back to this here shooting that's been all over internet and TV. And I'm curious how there could be no witnesses or no 911 calls. And another thing I found kind of strange was even in this interview, you had stated you never saw the driver, and then later in the interview you say you did see the driver.
I never saw more than half of his face, from his cheeks up. His window was only down about 5 or 6 inches, so I saw more of the passenger, but I only saw him from the side. I didn't call 911, and the parking lot, it was shortly after 5 o'clock on a Friday, so it wasn't insanely crowded parking lot, and there was no shouting. I didn't even hear a gun go off. So there's a lot of factors that kind of play into just the strangeness of this whole event.
Hey, I actually give the guy, if he shot himself to get some publicity, I'll even give him credit for that. I mean, who could do that?
Badass to do that.
Right,
Well,
yeah,
right.
okay, we'll put you on. Who cares?
Parking lot video?
No, I guess there's video from the businesses, but majority of the video is looking in towards the lobbies of those businesses, as you might imagine. So, yeah, gut shot, self-inflicted gunshot wound to the abdomen is kind of not a good thing to do.
Risky.
I could think of a better place to shoot myself if I wanted the publicity. And Rover, like you said, I've been on CNN and Fox and Discovery Channel, Military Channel, History Channel. I did not need this to gain any publicity,
Right.
at all. So.
In fact, you were telling me you're the voiceover guy for a television show.
Yeah, Under Armour has a hunting show out on the Outdoor Channel. It airs at 11 p.m.s in this market. Season 3 will start in July. I'm the voiceover. I'm the narrator. So you don't see me, but you hear me.
And they hired you.
Yes.
You had really not a lot of experience, no experience doing this. They hired you because a television station made a documentary on SEALs. Someone hears you talk, and they go, "This guy could be our
perfect.
voiceover guy."
That's the guy.
This guy's got a decent voice, and they said, "Hey, you kind of Mike Rowe-ish." I'm like, "Okay, I'll take that as a compliment because he's a great dude. He's doing well."
Todd, you're on Rover's Morning Glory with Chris Heben. Quickly, I only have a couple of minutes. Go ahead, Todd.
Hi, Rover.
Hey.
Hey, Chris.
Hey, Todd.
Congratulations on making it back.
Thanks, brother.
I was in search and rescue from 85 to 91.
Thanks for your
And
service. Man.
what Rover probably doesn't understand is when you're talking about the drug wars, because that's basically what I leaned toward until Desert Storm Round 1 kicked in. You're dealing with it's more like guerrilla warfare. These growers down there, these drug king lords, fully armed militia, just like an army would be. So you're not going to send in, just anybody.
No, I get it. I understand these guys are fully armed, but I think that the whole Well, no, I think that the whole thing, we take away these guys' money. Let them sell their stupid cocaine over here. Price will drop to $2 an ounce, and they can go back to doing whatever the hell they're doing. I mean, Mexico is a disaster. I mean, this is what's happening down in Mexico, and it seems to have gotten a little bit better in the past year or so. But I mean, we were on with these incursions they were making into the United States over the southern border. Very, very serious situation in Mexico with these cartels running wild.
Yep, they're fighting over the same territory, competing gangs, and it's across the border and back. I remember I was in Afghanistan, and we came across a large supply of heroin, basically, unprocessed, unstepped on, pure. At that time, it was going for $275 for a kilo is what you could buy that, U.S. dollars. The street value at that time, before you even cut it at all, was about $350,000.
Wow.
So can you imagine that? I mean, we all looked at each other, we're like, OMG,
We're rich. After they got high, they grabbed it.
No, I mean, we immediately said, hey, we're not contributing to the illicit drug trade in anywhere in the world, so we just set it all on fire. The DEA took pictures of it and cataloged it, and we set it on fire.
Jason, quickly, this will probably be the last question. Go ahead, Jason.
Yo, Rover.
Yo.
First of all, I just want to say, Mr. Heben, thank you for your service.
My pleasure. Thank you, brother.
And if you can just really earlier you touched on habeas corpus and all that stuff. What is your opinion on, like, after Hurricane Katrina, where the military went door to door taking people's firearms?
I don't support that at all.
Did they actually do it? I mean, or is that just some internet rumor that Alex Jones started or
I
something?
saw it.
I mean, you saw this. Okay, you read it.
It was online.
Okay, right. Look, if the government, all these gun nut people, I have a gun. I fully support people having guns.
Awesome.
If the government, if they're not trying to take away our guns, I believe in common sense gun laws, but the government isn't trying to take away our guns. They don't need to. They have tanks. They have bombs. They have missiles. They have a military. You're not. You and I are not going to stop them with our Glocks out there on the front porch. Trust me on that. Chris Heben, a former SEAL, he has his album, The Patriot Project, which is out on iTunes. He has a security company that he started with, I don't know, some auto group or something.
Well, I started a business called SEAL Team Consulting. So you can go to SEALTeamConsulting.com. We do security consulting. I also do public speaking, motivational speaking, and we're developing a self-help program that's going to be online purchasable, and supplements and exercise videos. That should be all up and running within the next month. So and I do private security for extremely high net worth individuals. We travel all over the world for business. We go to some pretty rough places, so we make sure they get there and get home safely. We'll also come and get them if we're not with them to begin with. We'll bring them home.
Shell C says, "Oh my God, he's sexy. Is he single?" And Julie says he's a very good-looking man. You single?
I am very single.
Inundated with calls.
Very single.
There you go.
Sexiest voice, sexiest dude.
He's going to be plowing some broads after this interview. All right, Chris, thank you for coming in, my man.
Thanks for having me, Rob.
I do have to take a quick break. If you're on a station that continues with the show, we'll be right back. If not, we'll talk to you tomorrow. You can continue listening at roverradio.com or watch on RMG TV, also at roverradio.com. We'll be right back. Hang on.